Hello everyone, good morning and good evening. Okay, let's start with today's session. Let's see what exactly we are doing today. Hopefully my screen is visible now. Okay, so let's connect to the VM first. Already have a virtual machine created, so I'll just connect to this VM quickly. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about file types. These were the topics which we were talking about. We have seen what is the directory. Directory is nothing but it's a folder. Regular files, these are your text files, these are your video files, the image files and everything. Then we spoke about link files, where we talked about symlink and hard link. So when you create a hard link, a copy of the exact same file gets created, and we have noticed when you make changes to the actual file, the hard link file gets also updated. The reason is both the files shares the same location exactly on the hard drive. Hence, if you make any changes to the hard link file, even the other file was getting updated. Soft link is nothing but it's just a shortcut which was getting created, and shortcut, if you delete the actual file, the shortcut is also not accessible. In case of hard link, there was no such issues. You were able to access the copied file also. Okay. Now there are other types of files: character device files, socket files, pipe files, block device files. This is something you'll see very rarely, guys, not very frequently. Like for example, if you talk about the socket files, here's my pointer. Talk about the socket files. So this is for communication between the applications. Okay, for example, if an application wants to communicate with other application, it connects with the socket of that application. So within your system, if there are two applications, if you want to establish a connection between those two applications, then the communication happens using a socket of the application. So that is what a socket file is all about. Pipe files. Pipe file is basically, it will allow us to send output of one process or command of one process to the another process. Like piping, how we do, like if we're running one command, you're capturing the output of that command, and that output becomes input of some other command. Okay, so that is what piping. If you have anything as such, then you will have piped files. So let's go to the root directory and let's see if we have anything as such, any other files. Socket files is basically when there are applications installed, then you will find socket files, and all this you will find it. For now, there is no socket of anything as such. Okay, and if you want to identify the type of the file, you can simply give the file name followed by whatever file it is. Like for example, bin. Bin is a directory. And do we have any regular file over here? Yeah, this is a regular file, correct? So have a something file lib. Do you see what it is saying? Symbolic link to user lib. So this is a link file. So this is how you will be able to identify what type of file it is. Then similarly, you will have some other types of files. That is character device. This is where when you connect devices, and if you have any block device connected, then at that time you will have this sign B and C. If you just want to, this command is basically if you just want to list directories. So you are specifying the flag ls-ld. D stands for it will only have list directories for you. Okay. Now if you want to know about the flags, as I said earlier, always use the help option, or there is also a manual option. Okay. Now most of the times in the interview they will purposely ask this question: how do I check the flags? If you say I'll go and check the Google and get the necessary flags whichever is needed, even though if you don't remember it. So they will ask you, what if there's no internet and the VM where you're working, it's in the private IP, there's no internet on it? How will you go? How will you go on Google? How will you search? So never use the word Google in Linux. The manual page and the help page is more than sufficient to answer all your questions, guys. In LS, what all flags you can use? If you want to know, you can use this manual page or the help page, and that should be your answer. That I'll be going and referring to the manuals in Linux, and I'll be going and referring to the help page of Linux in order to know more about the commands, in order to know more about the flags. Okay, so this is the manual page. If you see ls stands for list directory contains, and these are the flags. -a if you want to view hidden files. Okay, there are hidden files as well. Let's go to your home directory. This is my home directory for today, and if I just do a ls, I don't see anything. If I just do ls-a, do you see there's so many files over here? There's a bash rc file, there's a .ssh file, .profile file. These are all the file which gets loaded when you log into your system. This file bash rc is a very important file which is actually loading your shell. Now if you view this file, how do I view this file? I can do a cat, a simple cat I can do. .bash rc it is. Okay. Now this is the file. All this alias, see how the ll thing is working. Remember ll for long this thing? There's a alias set for that. If you want to make anything permanent, you need to come and edit this file. How you getting the shell, how you are getting logged in, how the directories are getting created, everything is there inside this bash rc file. .bash rc file. This is a hidden file. Okay, so this is loading your user, this is loading your shell, this is loading all the aliases, and if you want to set anything of yours, you need to go and edit this file. Similarly, you have other files such as bash.history file. It is keeping all your histories. Log out. After, what should happen when you log out of this terminal? What should happen? How your temp file is getting deleted? This is the place where it is mentioned. How your history is getting deleted? This is the place where it is mentioned. Okay, so these are not just for time pass, guys. These are very important files from the user perspective. Okay, so these are hidden files. What exactly it is? These are hidden files. Okay, and if you want to view the hidden files, this is the flag ls-a. Okay. Okay. Now, very important topic.
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me questions.
Yeah, so is there any way to make them visible? Because in Windows there is an option of hidden and
Yeah, in Windows there is an
hidden
option.
and hide. So is there any way?
View hiddens in Windows. There is an option when you go to in view, you can view your hidden files. But in Linux, you have to make use of the flag ls-a. Or if you want, you can unhide it, move it from hidden to a normal file, then it will be visible in Linux. Okay, make sense?
Okay.
Okay, before I go to file permissions, I want to start this card. Okay, I want to, before file permission, there's important topic, user and group management. Okay, so there are 3 types of users. Now in fact you can call it as 4 types, but I will call it as 3 types of users which you will come across in Linux. The first user is the root user. The sudo, what we were doing, the root user is nothing but it's a super user, guys, and this person will have complete unfeathered control of your system. So basically this person is a system administrator. If this person has a root user access, this person has a system administrator access on your system. This person will have a system administrator access, and there is a UID. I'll talk about this UID, what exactly this is identification through which we identify. Then the UID will be given as 0 to this root user. The second type of user will be system account user, and the UID will be less than 100 or between 500 to 100. What exactly the system account users are? Like you install services like SSH and all this. So SSH uses a account SHD. So there is a, when you use SSH, there is a user getting created SSD. So these users are needed for system specific operation. So you will not be using this ID for your purpose. So this will be used for system specific purpose. And there is a user, if you set up mail server, SMTP and all on your VM, then there is a mail D user which gets created. So this is basically used for mail account access and things like that. So this is system specific user which will get created, that is known as system account. The other type of user, so this is the 4th type, service account. Okay, so service IDs we create, like when you use any, install any services like Nginx, so we need to create a Nginx user if you go with the configuration. If you're installing Apache, you need to create HTTPD users. So these are related to the services which you're using. Okay, and this is the user account, the third and the very important user category is user account. So user account provide you interactive access to the system. So using this account, you can create a user called Bob, John, XYZ and give him the permissions, and using this account you'll be able to access things on Linux machine. So as of now, if you see, I am logged in as Velexi user, correct? This is the terminal, we are terminal 0. This is the time and this is the IP I'm using right now. Okay. If you run this command who, these are the information, user related information which you will get. I think someone has put in something in the chat. $400 system account. So till if you're reaching the 400, this is the range will again start increasing. Now 400, this is very weird scenario wherein you will have more than, if you go above this range, then there's a calculation happens using which the UIDs will be assigned to you automatically. So you don't have to go and do it. This will be automatically taken care by the kernel. Okay. But very rarely you will find anyone going, the system account is more than 400. But taking that in scenario, automatically the UIDs will get assigned with the new numbers. Make sense? Okay, where were we? I was talking about who. So these are the few commands which you can use to check who has logged in. What is the ID? If you want to view the ID, you can see the UID. It's a normal user, correct? You can see the group also got created, the group ID, and all this related information you can see it over here. Do you see the sudo? So he is a sudo user also, correct? The sudo ID is also there. And if you want to view who has logged in last, who was the user logged in last, there's a command called last which you can use, and this is the information. You can see it. So it will give you the complete information who has logged in last. And all these commands are working, guys, because this person is a root user. This last and all, these are administrative commands that will not work for everyone. Just keep in mind. So if you're not the administrator, so in that case, what will happen when you run the last command? You can see only your information. You cannot see any, if anyone else, other person is logged in, you cannot see his information. Keep that in mind. You will just see your information. Okay. And SU, we have already introduced SU. SU is switch user. If you want to switch to a different user category, then you need to use the command SU. How do we create a user? That should be the next question. The user can be created using the command user add, followed by the user name. So let's take it as devopsmela. So if you see, I don't have permission. I am a Velexia, a normal user, okay, and I cannot run all these commands. I don't have access to etc password file. What this file is all about, I'll talk about that later. For now, let's create a user, sudo. Now when I'm using sudo, so I'm giving root privilege. Using this sudo command, I'm giving super user privilege to this guy. This guy has sudo access. Hence, this guy is able to create this user for you, devopsmela. Okay. Now, where exactly this user got created? So there is a very important file. That's a etc password file. This file, this etc, the information about this file says everything is given. This file has user information. Okay, let's go and see this file. If you do a cat etc password, you will not be able to view this file because you need to have a sudo privilege to view this file. This is, if you see at the bottom, your user got created, you got devopsmela created, you have the UIDs created, you have the home directory created, you have the shell assigned, you have the cell assigned. Okay, what exactly these are? You have your username, UID. There's no group as of now, but if I create a group, I'll have a group ID created. I can give a user full name, I can assign a home directory, I can assign a default shell. These are the things which you can talk about. See, UID, GID, full name, home directory, and default shell. This is what we have it right now. And if you want to modify the user, you can make use of the command user mod. Using this modification, you can go and do the modification. I'll show you what all modification we can do. Before that, there is one more thing. If you want to create a group, why do we create groups? Basically, like we create dev group and we add everyone in the dev, all the developers in the dev group. We create testing group and we start adding testers in the testing group. So similarly, if you want to create a group in Linux, there is a command called group add, and you can just have development group. Permission denied again, because there is again the second important file which you cannot touch without sudo access, that is etc group. This file contains group related information. Okay, now so if you want to create a group, you have to use sudo and the group is created. And if you want to view this etc group file, then you can simply do a cat and you can view the etc group file. Now this is the development group which we created. Let's go back. So this is your group name at the very beginning. Password, this X is nothing but this is the encrypted password. We have not given any password to the group, neither to the user. As of now I have not given any password. If I assign a password over here, so over here in between I'll have a X over here also. You'll see an X over here also. As if now there's no password assigned, so we'll see how do we assign passwords. And this is the group ID and peoples in the group. As if now in this group there's no one. If you this development, did we add anything? Any person in the group? No. So there is no one in this group right now, so you can basically nothing is added. You cannot see anything over here. Okay, makes sense? So two important files, etc password wherein you will have user related information. Second important file information is the group related information, that is etc group. Now we'll talk about other information like assigning passwords. Okay, how do you assign passwords? Now let's sudo again. Every time you have to use sudo, and keep this as a practice, guys. Whenever you're doing any wherever you need root privilege, don't switch user to root and do things. Always use sudo and keep it as a practice. Because what will happen if you just do sudo su and you go and convert yourself as root? So as if now you are a root. Now you will have no restrictions whatsoever. Now if you see you are a root right now, you will, who am I? If you see, you are a root, so you will have no restriction whatsoever and you can do anything in your VM. And there is a chance that you may hamper your VM also. You may delete something, you may corrupt something. So it's always better, a good practice, to be as a sudo. Now this sudo has restrictions. So there are restrictions such as it cannot go and delete some system related files. But if you are in root, you can do whatever you want. So always, so even though by mistakenly you're doing something, if you're using sudo, you can avoid such mistakes. Okay, so always use sudo, never go as a root. As a root, make sure you're going and coming out as soon as possible, not unnecessary using as a, or unnecessary working as a root user. Okay, passwords, you can just simply do pswd and you can give the name of the person for whom you want to set a password. So devopsmela is the user, correct? Just set password as test 1234. Again test 1234. Done. Now if you want to view etc password sudo, do you see there's a X now? This means there is a password, and where these passwords are saved, getting stored in Linux, the file is etc shadow. Again a very important file, cat etc shadow file. Now this is your password. This big is your password. So this is encrypted, guys, so it's not available in plain text. You cannot view my passwords in a plain text, and this is encrypted, and this is your expiries, how long the password will be valid, how long the password, when the password will expire. You can set everything. So again in interview, do I have that? Okay, yeah. Again in interview, this is a shadow file. So this is your username, the first, then after that you have your password. When the password was changed the last time, it is over here. The minage, the minimum time, the maximum you can use this password, the warnings, so 7 days prior you'll get the warning, If the password is inactive, like suppose some user is calling you and telling, oh, I don't know, I'm not able to log into my system. So there could be a chance that the password has expired or the user is inactive. You can see everything in this. As if now if you see, I have not given any minage or warnings or max age or number of dates the password needs to be changed, anything I have. So but if you want, you give all the flags and you can give all these numbers also. Okay, so again an interview question, if there's a user created, how do I see when the user will get expired? User ID will get, not the user ID will get expired. So you can come to the etc shadow file and you can view when exactly the user will be getting expired. Okay, second is, if you want to give a password to the group, even that is possible. You can assign a group password, group PSW, and you can assign a group a password. And again in the X, if you go to and view the file, there is a file for group, there is a other important file wherein you can see this group password related information, that is sudo cat etc I think it's gs shadow. gs shadow, yeah, this is the file gs shadow. This is the fair place wherein you can view the password related information regarding this group. Okay, makes sense. Now if you want to check the devopsmela user, you just do a switch user devopsmela. What is the password? Test 1234. See, cannot change the directory to the no such a file. Okay, this directory was not created. Now the problem was I am logged in as a devopsmela right now, but it is using the same directory. Why? Because when I created the user, this particular directory was not created. So I can simply do a exit, use sudo make directory -p home /devopsmela. Done. Now let's do a switch user. Test add 1234. Now there's no warning. I have a directory. But how do you avoid such things? I'll show you that, don't worry. But this is how a user will be created. Now how do I avoid such thing? I want the directory to be created. I want the user should be added to the group. I want shell should be assigned to the user. All this you can define while creating a user. How do you do it? Let's exit out of this. Let's do a sudo user add. Now you want to make sure that the directory is created, then use the flag -d and create a user called home. What user should I create? I should create test user -user, something like this. Okay, now you want this user to be part of your development group which you have created. -g is the flag which you can use for development group. Development group. Now you want this user to have a shell that is bin bash. So even that, till that level you can go. -s for shell, and you can use bin bash. This guy should have this shell. And if you want to give user ID and all this additional information, you can do that also. Okay, and there's one important flag which you need to create, -m. This will make sure that the home directory should be created if does not exist. If suppose the home directory exit, it will not again create it. with -m, it will make sure that it creates a home directory for you. Hit enter. I got some error. Okay, let me remove this home directory thing. This version might not support this. Or let's use a flag home directory over here itself. Weird. Someone is pinging something? No. Okay, so let's do one at a time. User add -d. Let's have this user home test user, and let's give a username as test user itself. Did we give a username before? No. Where is a user? Everything we have given no username. And done. That was a mistake, guys. We haven't given the username, and we are creating things. Okay. Now if I go and view the, I'm getting a ping kind of noise. Okay, guys, kindly.
Yeah.
Okay, Ahmed. Yeah, Ahmed. Please tell me.
Yeah. I just want to. Why do we have to create the home directory attached to that user?
Oh, okay. Very good question. So if you don't have a home directory, where do you create files, the user related files, where the user will have its application installed, where he will save his whatever work he is doing, where exactly he will save it? Because this user which you have created, test user, will not have access to any other directory. If this test user tries to go anywhere else, he cannot do anything. So whatever you are doing, he will be able to do inside this folder only. So that is the whole purpose why you're giving this person a directory. I'll show you. I will log into that user and we'll test that also. Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
Cat sudo. Now let's go and verify if we have this user with all the required information, whatever we are looking for. See, we have test user and we got this. We have the home directory and we got the bin bash, the shell. This is, now if you want to verify the group, etc shadow will give you the password information, group will give you the group related information, that is etc group. Why this auto completion is not working? This user was not added to the group. Did we add the group? Development. Did I make any spelling mistake, typo? So eventually this person should be added to the group as well. If not added, then later we can add the group, add the person to the group using.
Do you have to make the G capital letter to add the development the group?
No, group name can be defined as small g. Let's go and verify. User add -help. Now capital G is for groups. G ID name or name or ID of the primary group of the new account. This should work. Let's see. Let's use sudo and we can modify the user with the help of user mod. What is the user? I forgot the username also. Let's add devopsmela -g, and what is the name? Development. Done. How do you verify? Go. Okay, this group will be visible over here, guys, not in group. This will be visible over here, not visible. These groups are not getting added. Let's use the -G option. Okay, capital G. Now the group is visible in the group password. So it's always, so even I don't remember all the flags, guys, so it's always a good practice to go and view the help. That is always a good practice. List of supplementary group of the new account. -G, okay, if we -G will work if you mention the group ID. In that cases you can mention -G. Okay, so what else you want to modify? If you want to change the username, you can even do that, guys. So that is about. Okay, how do you delete it? Okay, let's go and test this also. Switch user devopsmela. Devopsmela. Why do you create a home directory? That was the question, correct? So we are in the home directory right now. If I just create a file name, file.txt, so I'm able to create. In this home directory, I'm not able to create because this home directory was created by Velexi user. Hence, I'm not able to do anything in this home directory also. So this user was created wrongly, guys. The home directory was not attached to this user. Hence, you're not able to do anything right now. Let's go back to another user. Or let's create a new user now. Sudo user add with home directory, home. Let's create a simple user test. Okay, -m, shell and all, everything will be get auto assigned in case if you're not assigning any shell. Let's create a test user. Done. Now let's assign a password to this test user. Sudo password test. Done. Now let's do a switch user. Test user. This person has a home directory. Now if you see, you'll be able to create file. Done. Able to create files. This is because now when you created the user, you were able to, you have assigned a home directory to that user. Hence, we're able to do things in such case. Now if I just go one folder down, and if I'm in home directory, if I try to do anything, then in this home directory belongs to this user, he's able to do stuff. If I go one step down, and if you try to do anything, permission denied. That is the reason we create home directory for the users. So this person will not have any access elsewhere. He cannot do anything to any of the folders. If he wants to go inside this bin, and if he wants to delete something, like just delete NL, yes, permission denied. So this person has very limited access. He cannot do anything apart from making changes to his home directory location, which we have allocated to him. Makes sense? That is the reason we create home directory. And if this person wants to do anything in his home directory, that is this location, he can download, he can have application installed, he can create multiple folders. Now he can create inside his home directory and things like that he can do. But if he wants to do anything else, no, he's not permitted. He needs to be a root user for doing all that. Okay, now how do you delete user? Let's exit out of it. sudo user del, that stands for delete, and let's delete devopsmela because that was wrongly created. Group devopsmela not removed because it's not the primary group of user devopsmela. So it is not letting me delete this. Let's try to delete the other user. That was test user, correct? This got deleted. Now why this was deleted and why devopsmela was not deleted? Because devopsmela on purpose we have assigned a group and we have given a location because of which it is not getting deleted. If you want to remove devopsmela, you have to now log in as sudo. Now you need root privileges, super user privileges for doing that. Make sense? Where do we use sudo? Where do you switch to root and make changes in such scenarios? So this has happened by mistake, but yeah. So all this command, like these are the things where the flavors change, guys. In this command, user add will work perfectly in CentOS and RHEL 7, and it will automatically create a home directory in CentOS and RHEL 7. In Ubuntu, you have to purposely mention the home directory. If you don't mention the home directory, it will not create the home directory for you. So this is the place where the flavors change. Okay. Question. Yeah, Ahmed, tell
I
me.
have a question. Yeah. Can you go back to yeah? Initially, I saw that you used the su hyphen, and now you use sudo su hyphen. What is the difference between the two?
Very good. Su just switch user. You're switching the user. It could be a normal user. It could be a root user. Anything else. Su will switch you to a simple user. Sudo su. Sudo stands for super user. Okay. So sudo super user do. That's the full form of sudo. So with sudo at the beginning, you're asking that I want to get converted as a root user. Done. Now if you see, who am I? I am a root user over here. If you do just su, you will not get converted as a root user. So that is the difference between using su and sudo su. Make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Someone joined now. Sebastian. Very early. Okay. Now how do you check root users? Who is the root user and things like that? How do you check the root user? There is a file called sudoers where all your root users are available. So if you go to vi etc, there is a file sudoers. Now see, I'm inside a root user. I don't have to use sudo and all now. This is administrative file. If I don't have a, if I'm not logged in as a root, you cannot log into this file. And this is the place where you will find the root users. See this user. This is how you can give root users privileges to anyone. If you want to give root user privilege to like the test user, hopefully I have not deleted the test user. If you want to give root user privileges to anyone, you can just come and edit this file. Come and have this user information mentioned over here, and this is the host name, and these are the types of privileges you want to give and where you want to give the privilege. This is what it is mentioned over here. If you come down and see this, this is how the syntax is: user space on which host you want to give. So in my case it's local host, or if there are any other host, run as user and group, and space if you want to give this person only specific privileges such as to reboot your system, then you can mention the command. If you mention all, so this what this all means, all then any host, if there is any host connected to this VM, then he will have root privilege to any host. Run as all user, all groups. This all stands for all commands. He can run any sort of commands. So this is extremely high privileges you're giving to any user, which you should avoid. Even if you're giving root privileges, then you should mention those commands, what type of privileges you're giving. Don't use this all things. If you're giving anyone in the company a root privilege, never use such things. You need to go and edit this file, and you need to assign a root privilege if you want to give it to anyone. All your commands, whatever commands I have gone through, user add, password, and everything is mentioned over here, guys. And this is the command. If you want to have a specific UID or GID, that's group IDs, then you can make use of these flags. This is how you'll be attaching a home directory. This is how you'll be attaching a shell. This is how you will be giving descriptions. If you want to have custom comments given, and this is your user. And this is how you'll be deleting your group, and anything else is pending. Okay, that is file permission. That is something we'll talk about later. Okay, any questions with this user management and group management? Anyone? Okay, being a DevOps engineer, you will not be responsible of creating groups, guys. Very rarely you'll get an option to go and log in on the VM and create group. This is something an administrator will be doing. So this is good to know knowledge for you guys, in case whenever you are setting a VM by yourself, testing for yourself, then this is how the users and the groups are created in real time. Okay, makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, now the second and very important category is file permissions. This is where you will be working a lot with file permissions. So file permission is basically how the permission is managed and who all will have permissions to your files, whatever you create. So this is where file permission plays a very important role. There are three categories. Owner permission, group permission, others. Okay. Owner is the person who has created the group, or created the file. Group permission, so the permission is given to the complete group. So development is a group, so the permission is given, just example, the permission is given to the group. Others are others to whom you want to give, a third party to whom you want to give access. So that comes in others category. The initial is for owner is U. U stands for user, small u. Then the other is G. G stands for group. The third is you have 0, that is stands for others. Okay, this is one way how you will be giving permissions. U, G, O, keep that in mind. And there are two ways how you will be assigning permissions. Absolute mode. Absolute mode is nothing but this numeric mode. This is known as octal values, or symbolic mode. This is your symbolic mode. R stands for read access, W stands for write access, X stands for execute access. Same can be denoted if you are following absolute mode, then same can be denoted in numbers also. 4 stands for read, 2 stands for write, 1 stands for execute. Now let's go back to the files, what you have, whatever files you have created. Exit out of this sudo. Do we have files? No files. Touch. Okay. Now do you see this? This we know. The first, if you copy this, put it in a notepad. So this part we know, the first dash. What exactly this first dash stands for, guys? Can someone tell me? This first dash, what exactly is this?
It means
Directory
file.
or file.
Let me divide this. Yeah, someone was saying something.
Okay, the
File.
first dash is a file.
Perfect. So this denotes that it's a regular file, correct? So
Right.
yeah. Now you will have to focus on this three part. Now this is 3 bits. 1, 2, dash. RW, RW, R. So this first group, this permission is for users, user permission. The second group, this is for group, group permission. The third group, this is for others. Now what exactly what type of permission has been given over here? So for user we have read permission and we have write permission. This is for users. By seeing this, so u, small u, this is read write permission. For group we have read permission and we have write permission. For others we have only read permission. This is what this permission is denoting right now. Understood? What exactly this permission is? This is what this permission is denoting right now. Now if you want to play around with these permissions, there are multiple ways. So as I said, there are two ways: absolute, that is numeric. The other one is symbolic, that is where you will have these numbers R, W and all. So let's talk about absolute using octal number. Now if I denote the same thing using numbers, what exactly these numbers will be? R was 4.
2. Oh, sorry.
Yes, please tell me. RW, what exactly these numbers will be?
So I'm gonna be the weight gonna be for 4.
Okay.
Then the right is gonna be 2.
Perfect. The total is
Then
6.
others is gonna be
So
one.
so this is a very good example. R is 4, W is 2. Then when we write it as total 6 over here. Same goes with over here 6. This is 4. Correct? This is how this will be denoted in symbolic. Not symbolic, absolute, sorry. Absolute is numeric. This is how it will be denoted. If I want to change something, so there is a command called chmod, that change modification. The command is change modification. Now I want to give only the user the read, write and execute permission. Read is the person can only read. Write is that the person can edit the file. Execute it, that is after editing he can save, delete, do whatever he wants. So if you have execution permission on it. Okay. So I want to give user read, write and execute permission in numeric. So what do I have to do? I have to go do something like 4, 2, 1. Then I don't want to give any permission to the group. So if you don't want to give any permission, that stands 0. And I don't want to give any permission to the others, that stands 0 again. Now this 4 to 1, what did I say? We'll have to total it. So 4 to 1 stands 7. 7 means read, write, execute permission. Can we test this on this file? Chmod 7. What is the number? 700. 7 stands for user, read, write, execute. 0 stands for no access to the group. Next 0 stands for no access to the others also. What is the file name? File. Excuse me. Now many of you will say you have not used sudo over here. Why do I need to use sudo? I am already there in the home directory of this user. And whatever I do in this directory, it belongs to the user Velexi. And Velexi is making changes. So Velexi can do it. There's no harm. See how it got changed? always try to break this thing this way. This becomes 7, this became 0, this became 0. Make sense? Now the same thing, this is we did it in numbers. Now the same thing I want to do it using symbolic. So what I can do, I can use the numbers over here, R, W, X. Now for example, I want to give access to, now the scenario is I want to give access, read, write, execute access to this group, and all others will be 0. I just want to give access to the group, not others. So basically what I'm talking about 0, 7, 0. This is what I'm talking about in numbers. But I want to use the other way around. If I want to use the other way around, then you have to use nothing at over here. At the 0 there's nothing. In the symbolic this is very easy. You just have to have G, and in G you can have equals to R, W, X. This is just you have to do. That's it. Cmod, the command is cmod G equal to RWX and the file name. That's it. If you want to give the group only read, write, execute access. Okay. Let's run this command. Okay. Now the group got the access, but the problem over here is the user access was not removed. What did you have mentioned? You mentioned in the command that G equals to RWX. That means group, this small group G thing which I have talked about. Group needs to have read, write and execute access. Did I mention that you need to remove other access to? If you put that way, that you want to remove other access to, then it will go and remove. It will not go and do it automatically for you. So in that case, you have to mention U, and what you want to do, you want to remove. Remove means minus. Remove means minus. And if you just want to give read access to the user, then you have to mention R. If you don't want to give, don't put anything. If you want to give just read and execute, mention this RX. This is how it will work. What did you do? You removed your read access. Sorry, you minus the read access. And if you want to minus everything, remove WX. Read, write, execute. Gone. All gone. See this. So 2 ways. Octal value. I find octal value very easy. Numbers are very easy. You can very easily play around with the octal values. Even this is very easy, guys. You just have to be U minus, and if you want to add, for example, the only thing you have to change is U plus. And what you want to add? You want to add read, write. Let's take it this way. See this. Read, write. This is how you will be playing around with file permission, not just file, even directory. You can change directory permissions using this. Okay.
We can use equal sign as well, right?
Equal is
to add.
Correct. So plus, minus and equal, like for example, others. You want others to have RW access. See this. You got RW for others. So plus to add, minus to remove, equals if you want to equal something. So that is how you can use it. Okay, so this is chmod. This is for change modification. This is related to permissions. Now you will see something over here also. or this what this two person is. This is the person who has created the file. So this is the user information. This is the person. This is not a person, this is a group. So if you don't create a group for any user, guys, is by default it gets added to the default group, that is C. Now if you're creating a group user like test and you have not added that user to any group, what will happen? A test group will automatically created and the user will be part of that test group. But if you're purposely mentioning that I want this user to be part of development, then there will not be, the user will be part of development. Okay. Now this file, now there is a scenario that you want to give access to this file to development group. So what did I say? This is user, this is group. So this needs to be changed, correct? A development group, there are 100 people in the development group and they need access to this file. So I need to change this permissions also, correct? How do I change it? There's a command called chown, change ownership. This chown is not any Chinese word. This is changing ownership. And the format is this, user.group followed by the file name. This is the format. Okay. So in this format, let's go and change. Chown, user is okay, Velexi, but the group I want to change it to development, so that all my people in development team can access this file. Oh, sorry. Changing ownership of the file not permitted. So sudo. Perfect. Now anyone from a development team can access this file. If I have some users in development team, they can access this file. I think we have users in development also, correct? Let's verify. etc group grab -I. What I want? Development. Did we delete test user? Do we have test user?
I think you deleted
No,
it. Yes, yeah.
I think we deleted it.
Oh. No, we have test user. Perfect. Added. This grab is I think we had talked about this regular expression. So what exactly this grab is doing? If I just run this command, what will happen? I'll get the complete list. Okay. So in that, what I am using this pipe operator. This is pipe operator, guys. So I'm taking this output, whatever output. If I just run this command, what will happen? See. This is what I will see. Okay. So it's very difficult to identify what exactly we are doing. Now using this pipe operator, I'm taking this output and using this pipe operator, I'm giving this as an input. Now this grab regular expression, what exactly it is doing? It is in the text file, it is grabbing the word development for me. Anything starting with development or ending with development. And I've used this I stands for indentation. I'm not sure whether the development is in caps or it's in lowercase. I'm not sure about that. So this is acting as a text file for me, as an output file, and this grab is going and looking into that file and getting the word development for me. now, and it is just giving me that output. So this grep will come very handy if you want to search any word in any file. You will be using grep a lot. Even this is used a lot in shell scripting. Okay, for looking for the particular file grep. So grep stands for global regular expressions. Okay, so it is the only work it does is, and it does it very wisely. It will go and look into the file and it will get the right word, whatever word you're looking for. Not just hyphen I. You can use caret sign, and there are anything starting with D. It can fetch that also for you. Like something like this. Where is the caret sign? If you want to have something like this, it can get you anything starting with D. Okay. So just an FYI for you all. Okay, what we were doing. Okay, let me switch user as test. Okay. Do you see I have access to this file? I'm logged in as test user. Okay. Now if I view, I got access to this file. How? This is because we have given access, this file which we have created, this has given access to the development person. So my test user is part of this development group. Okay. Hence he is able to access the file. Okay. Now if you want to change the group, now you suppose you have created this and now you want to change the group back to velxc. There's a command change group grp, and the group name you want to change it to velxc, and file name is file. See this. 3 things which we have covered in this. Change mod, and I've mentioned this is how you can play around with this. This is what we are doing. UGO stands for user group owners, and we are giving plus, and we are just giving read and execute permission. And this dash means you're not giving write permissions. Okay. Removing read write x permissions, and this is how, if you want to, you're giving user read write x permission, group you're just giving read and execute permission, user you're giving read write execute permissions. This is how it is done. Means it's a file.
I have a question, please.
Yeah, Sebastian. Yeah, guy, tell me. Where's the question?
Okay. Yeah. Initially, when you wanted to change the group, you use change ownership to change the group, and now you want to change the group, the group now, and you use change group. What is the difference, and how do you use those?
Okay. See, I've used 3 commands. Change mod. Mod is to play around with file permissions. Second command I've used chown. Change ownership. You are the person who has created the file. Now I want to change your ownership from Ahmed to Rohit. At that time I'll be using chown, that change ownership. Change group. Now while changing the ownership, I have changed the group also to development. Now I want to change the group also. In that case I'll be using the chgroup command. So basically you can do it with chown also, but if you just want to change the group name, not the ownership, then there's no need of using chown. Stick with chgroup command. Okay. But if you want to change both, you want to change the name of the person who has created the group, and the person who has created the file, and the group also, then at that time change ownership is the command which will work. Okay. but you just want to play around with the group, then change group will work in both the cases, guys. Keep that in mind. Make sense, Ahmed?
Yeah, yeah, I'll play with it. Yeah, I got it.
Just play around with it and you'll get more clarity. Same, this is change modification with numbers, you can do it. This I find more easy, guys, as compared to this person, but this is also is very easy. Sometimes you may tend to get confused with the numbers, because you need to remember the numbers, plus you need to add it, then you need to run the chmod command. This is very easy. You have to specify UGO, to whom you want to give what type of access, that you need to specify, and you need to do it. So see what makes you comfortable. Both are doing the exact same thing. Let me see if there's anything left. See, the change ownership is also given. Changing ownership to Bob and group developer. Then you got Chown over here. Then you got CH group over here also. Let me see. Okay, package manager. This package manager I'll cover tomorrow, guys, not today. And there is one command which I want to talk about. Let me see.
How do you delete the group if you want to delete it?
Group del.
Group there. Okay.
Sudo group del development. The group is gone. If you try to look into the group, where's my grep command went? See, there's no development group now. Okay. Okay. Now, how do you monitor your VM? How do you check loads on your VM? From the command line. So there is a command. Now this is very granular monitoring I'm talking about. At the command line, you want to monitor your VM. The command is top, top. When you run this command top, this is what the screen will look like. Now let me take a screenshot of this, then I'll talk about, or else let's do this tomorrow. We'll do this tomorrow and we'll talk about package management tomorrow in the tomorrow session. Let's keep it as it is. Okay, that's it for me today. If you have any questions, doubt, please do let me know before we go and wind up. So tomorrow there are three things. We'll talk about this top command, monitoring your VM from the Linux level. We'll talk about the package managers, what is yum, what is apt, and things like that. And we'll talk about editor, VI editor, okay, and Vim editor. These are the three things which we'll cover tomorrow, and most of your basic Linux things will be done, which is more than enough from a DevOps perspective for installing, managing users, managing permissions, managing packages, editing files, and things like that. From the basic perspective, that this information is more than enough. Okay, that's it for me. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know, or we can wind up the call for today. Anyone, any questions, guys?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just tell me about queues and storage account? Means a journal.
Okay, journaling is basically when you want to view logs, journal CTL and systemd and all. So
No,
yeah,
about storage account queues.
storage account queues. So that is on Azure, in cloud you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, that will come to when we'll come back to Azure cloud. At that time we'll talk about queues a bit. So you said
Okay.
journal, but you talk about journaling is a
No.
different topic.
Okay.
So journaling is basically if you want to see logs related to your application, there's any application running, and if you want to view journaling logs, so at that time you'll use journaling. It's altogether a different concept in Linux. And storage account queues, so that is you talking about SQS and the queuing in storage account. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll have for understanding queue up in a better way, you need to have an application which is sending requests to the queue, then the queues are getting added. Because if you want to do practical, then you need to have a good understanding how you will be integrating queue with your existing application. Yeah, we'll see if I can get you a queuing demo to understand that more wisely. Okay. Hardening and patching, very good. Okay, so hardening, there are two words which is used together, hardening and patching. Patching, it's more like the Windows patching what you get from Microsoft, and you do a Windows update, and that is where your patching activity happens. You get new update, there's a new version of OS got available, and you just download and update your packages. So that is where your patching comes in. Hardening is more from the security perspective. How secure your Linux machine VM is. Okay, do we have any backdoor entry open for hackers to come in? Do we have we secured the complete operating system? So this is more talking about your OS security features. So you may get patches related to your security, which is eventually hardening your Linux. So this is more related to your security at the OS level. So we have security at each level, correct? Network layer, infrastructure layer, hardware layer. Now this hardening is talking about security at OS layer, whether your SE Linux is enabled. SE Linux plays a very important role. So that is again a security feature which is inbound to your OS, whether it is enabled or not. Many cases for testing we disable SE, which is not suggested, guys. SE Linux should not be disabled, it should be enabled. Again, it's a hardening. So there is a list of OS security which you talk about. You have to check if everything is checked, whether SE Linux is enabled, whether there are no unnecessary ports open on your VM, like 3389 port. So not 3389 on Linux, there is a port 22 and there are port 80s, making sure that all these ports are secured. Not 80, there should be 443. All these are part of hardening. Okay, so there are a big list. Like if you Google what are the security checks you can do at the OS level, there's a big list which falls under hardening. Okay, again, not your task, guys. Hardening and patching is a core Linux administrator task, where they are responsible of making sure that the all operating system are hardened, all operating system are patched with all the latest versions which is there. This is again a core responsibility of a Linux administrators. Now from the Linux administrator perspective, there are many things you should know which will eventually not be used in as a DevOps admin. Now I am a Linux administrator also, wherein I have done my Red Hat C certification. I have never used in my life all this. Frankly speaking, in DevOps, hardening and patching, this is altogether a very big responsibility. Controlling, managing users, controlling groups, system D, systems, all journaling and FS tab, file system, creating drives, creating partitioning, all these are very big responsibility from the VM perspective at the VM level, and you have to be very good with Linux for that, and that's your core responsibility. So when you work as a Linux administrator, the core responsibility is to work and do all this. Okay, but from the DevOps perspective, all this is not needed. The only thing is needed that you should know the basic of Linux. You should know how to work with Linux. You should know how do I check logs. You should know how do I monitor compute. You should know how to manage packages. You should know if my application is down and if I want to go and check logs, what is the reason why my application is down. All this information you should know, followed by managing permissions, managing files, and if needed, creating users and things like that. Make sense, Bharti? Hopefully that answers your question. Perfect. Anyone else?
Yeah, I know we don't have much time, but maybe tomorrow we can talk about it. Since we're talking about users, I want to know more about the LDAP and how it is associated with the user. We can talk about that tomorrow. Yeah.
Sure, we'll talk about LDAP. For understanding LDAP, you need to know AD first. So that is related to how AD works, the same way LDAP works in Linux. How AD works in Windows, Active Directory, the same way LDAP works in Linux. No worries, we'll discuss that tomorrow. Okay. Okay guys, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Let's meet tomorrow and let's take this further. This Linux is very important and I like this topic a lot. So let's continue and let's have one more session on Linux. Post that, we'll start actual DevOps. We have not touched anything in DevOps. And if, as Saurav mentioned about queuing in storage account, I'll see if I can get a demo created for queuing and I can show you that. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, and let's.
Rohit, sorry, last question. Related to load balancers in Azure, okay. Could you please explore more into load balancer if it's possible in or which type of application load balancer will use in real time? Those kind of some one or two scenarios.
Okay, so load balancer, I think we did pretty much couple of sessions on load balancer,
Yes, yes.
wherein we have used Azure load balancer to balance at the network layer to distribute the network traffic. So at the application layer, let's see if time permits, we can try and do that also.